Okay, everyone. It's a couple of minutes past time here, and I do trust there will be more people joining as we go, but we'll try and catch them up. But again, in respect to your time, we'll get started here. My name is Joe Webb. I'm with the company AECom. I'm joined on the line by John Crumpton. We're here to present to you today for the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan for the City of Tampa. Certainly welcome. We appreciate your time this evening. We know everyone's busy and there's lots of competition for valuable time, but taking the time to participate in our process is critical to us, and we appreciate your time this evening. So certainly I'll be giving a brief presentation here. We do have opportunities and ways for everyone to participate. If you wish, you can raise your hand to ask questions or provide a comment during the meeting, and we will open up your audio at the end and hear your question. You can leave a question or comment in the chat. Uh, Chat questions will be read, and we will hopefully answer any questions you have there. You can leave a comment on the meeting page. You can send an email to the link on the meeting page, or if that doesn't work, you can provide a text comment by texting A464 to 512 580 8850. So tonight we're here to talk about the City of Tampa Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This is our fourth of four virtual community meetings. We have targeted these meetings across the four geographic council districts across the city. Again, that does not preclude anyone else from participating. We welcome everyone, but just wanted to create a way that we're a little more focused in individual districts. So this is the area of focus for this evening. All are welcome. Certainly, if you're in this area or around this area, we welcome all your ideas, and any comment is going to be recorded and hopefully addressed. Our agenda for this evening, quite simple. Some introductions, an overview of the project, a summary of our public engagement, which we're very much into right now. This is a part of, and then our next steps, and hopefully we'll have ample time to answer any questions that you may have. Again, I am with the company AECom. We are the lead company for a team of people working on this important project. Our group members or our team members on this project represent both national expertise in very select areas and several local firms that we think give us the intimate local knowledge of the Tampa area. Our purpose of this project, and read it as something from our scope of work, but it's to develop a comprehensive park system plan that will define the direction, development, and delivery of Tampa's parks and recreation services over the next 10 years. That's kind of a mouthful, but the key thing there is it's comprehensive. In other words, we're not just looking at facilities, but we're looking at facilities, programs, operations, finances, really everything pertaining to the provision of services by the Parks and Recreation Department. The other key point is that it says 10 years, and that's always difficult in that parks exist in perpetuity. So we really do try to plan out beyond 10 years. We're looking past 10 years to maybe 20 years out. But that doesn't mean everything happens in 10 years. We also have a 5-year strategic plan and a 1-year action plan as a part of our work. So it's for 10 years, but there's also incremental steps that will be identified of how to get to that place in 10 years. As a way of introduction, I also want to talk, and I don't know how many people on this line have been a part of a Parks and Recreation System master plan, but this is my life. This is a studio that is exclusive to this type of work at AECom, So when we talk about parks, great park systems, we see them as a framework for really building livable and sustainable communities. And our definition of parks is more than just the neighborhood, park in your neighborhood. It also includes greenways and trails, blueways, great streets, historic sites, conservation lands, waterfront, certainly important in Tampa, and even public art. The graphic on the right is a depiction of the city of Vancouver, and I think most of us are aware of or have heard of Stanley Park up on the top. But really, what makes Vancouver great is not just Stanley Park, but also all of the waterfront areas. It's the way they've designed their streets to be pedestrian and bicycle friendly. Really dynamic urban plazas, and they, like Tampa, maintain a lot of conservation land. So it's that sum total that makes the park system. This graphic is similar. This is a project we recently completed for the city of San Diego. And again, kind of in the center, a little left of center, is Balboa Park. Most of us have heard of the San Diego Zoo and Balboa Park, but when you really look at the sum total of the park system, it's also the canyon lands and the waterfront and the beaches. All those things together make up San Diego, and why San Diego is such a great place. Also, just as a way of introduction, really good park systems have quality facilities and excellent programs and services. That is certainly the City of Tampa Parks Department today. So this isn't, it's broken, it needs to be fixed. This is, how do we continue to be really good and possibly great? And when we look at the great park systems of the United States or even around the world, they go beyond just places to play. They really are transformational within the communities in which they are. They address health and wellness, conservation, social equity, economic development, smart growth, and sustainability and resiliency. Certainly an important topic in Tampa. The two graphics on the right, one is for a plan we did a few years ago for the city of Norfolk, and they are a national gold medal, not just finalist, but winner, the best park system in the United States. But it's really that comprehensive look within that plan that defined that. The plan on the right is for Miami-Dade County. I think it's kind of the quintessential or example for many places, in that when we developed it, it was developed as a 50-year unifying vision for a more livable and sustainable Miami-Dade County. So very comprehensive look at what the definition of parks and recreation is. Also, great parks planning that we're doing right now. The plan is certainly very important. It's got to be driven by community needs, wants, and priorities. It has to be visionary and aspirational. We really do need to look out into the future and then provide clear implementation steps. But in addition to the plan and the product that we'll produce, it's also this process of engaging the community, energizing staff and leadership, integrating seamlessly with other city initiatives, and being truly unique to the city of Tampa. On the right are a few images here. The one, the city of Raleigh, we did, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, but really a very different plan than the other that we did for Washington, D.C. Two entirely different approaches, different plans, both driven very strongly by the direct community needs of those unique places, but both successful, both unique. And also, I guess just as also of introduction, we understand that Tampa is a very dynamic place. The whole world is not stopped while we, proceed on this Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Lots of other initiatives going on across the city. some really progressive, really interesting other things going on. So part of our challenge in our work is to make sure that our park system plan integrates with the transportation, infrastructure, public realm, economic development, conservation, sustainability, and resiliency efforts that are already going on or are beginning that need to work hand in glove with what we're doing. The images on the screen are just a quick collection of just a few of the other planning efforts going on, but this represents actually a small number of the number of things going on. You guys have a lot going on right now. So our process, actually quite simple, as is all planning. Where are we? Where do we want to be? And how do we get there? There's lots of steps, but that's the fundamental thing we want to accomplish here is we do want to clearly define where it is we want to be, and we have to provide that implementation to know where do we start and where do we end. Our process right now, our schedule, we're in this part of what we call exploring. We've been spending previous time doing a lot of, I'll call it homework, the learning part. We've done a level of service analysis. We've visited all the parks. We've researched all the other initiatives going on across the city. Right now, we're in a big effort to reach out to the public and try and hear everybody's needs and priorities. We certainly want to hear what people want, but even better, we want to hear what they want, what they say is a need, which is more important. And we also need to know the priority. I mean, what would you do first? What needs to be done second? So throughout all of our different engagement techniques that we're using, we try to drive that, not just want, but wants, needs, priorities, order, that way giving us much more information on the community's desire of how to proceed forward over a 10-year period. Going forward, we'll be doing an envisioning where we take all those ideas and everything we learned and we put them into the plan, and then ultimately an implementation strategy that hopefully provides the guidance or the blueprint, the game plan for how we get from here to there. Our public engagement, again, this is a part of, is we have multiple things going on right now. I'll give you a brief overview here. Our objectives, and always with all of our plans, we try and be as open, transparent, and inclusive as possible. The most successful plans are where the most people participate. We make specific efforts to engage underrepresented groups. We try to garner balanced input from diverse groups from across the city. We engage department and city staff and try and educate people on the importance and the role of parks in building livable communities. So in the end, we hope it's fun. I think most people embrace parks as places that are positive, and we try to make it fun, try and get people, these images are just things of things we pulled off the net. The one in the lower left is actually the mayor of DC leading a public outreach effort outside on a Saturday afternoon. It did become fun, so we're hoping this is fun too. We've developed a brand and message for our plan that I think is very much heartfelt. I think it comes straight from the heart, from not only us as a consultant team, but especially from the department. I'm not playing up to them, but I think there's a real feeling that, it's your vision for our tomorrow. It's not an AECOM vision for tomorrow. It's not a city vision for tomorrow, but it's the people's vision, the residents, it's the community's vision for what they want in the future. We're here to help facilitate a process and create a framework that can organize that information, but the vision is yours. We've built a whole public awareness campaign around that. We're organizing fun events. I believe there was some out at 4th of July and some other things that the city's been doing. building upon the city's other recent efforts in creating a safe, accessible engagement avenues through virtual techniques. We understand and we pray and hope that COVID is receding, but these platforms that we've created that are virtual with both virtual rooms and online surveys is hopefully a 24/7 place that anyone can keep up with the project, know what's going on, and feel safe that they can participate without crowding into a room with another 200 people. Um, Hopefully, in our experience so far, as it seems people have truly embraced it and are participating at, you know, exponential factors that maybe we would have gotten otherwise. Again, all these outreach techniques, I won't go through each and every one, but we have a whole cadre of different materials out there, both digitally and physically, where there's posters and banners and these are business card size things that can be easily handed out with the QR code right on. If you have a smartphone, you can click on it, you can go straight to the site, give your input, learn anything about it. So if you've got 20 minutes and you're just curious, it's easy to keep engaged, follow on what's going on, see what others of your neighbors may have said. So press releases, social media, those of you on this line have been reached somehow. So there's been a real effort to make it a part of everything the city can push out, all the people that they generally touch, and then every way we can through commission or council offices and CRA that, you know, we're trying to get the broadest, deepest participation that we can. We have the public engagement website. I hope that many people have visited it. If you're on this call, you must have. But again, it's the one-stop shop for information. You know, a touch point that you can always go back to as we continue to move forward, or you're curious about, you know, what the survey results are. We're going to keep that site live with information that we can keep posting back to and keeping the community up to date on what we're doing. There's a link on there to the online survey. There's a link to the virtual rooms. We are aware that, you know, it is geocoded, so we can see if there's lots of different people from outside the community putting ideas in. In general, that hasn't been the case, but we are aware of that. We're ability to host online meetings like this, where we can, you know, now come back later and show people what it is everyone has said. And all of it in the end will be consolidated and analyzed, and key themes and trends will be identified. So our virtual meetings like this, if you've been on and in the virtual rooms, again, we try not to just make it, what do you want? We try to make it, you know, what would you change or what would you add? What would you do first? Really trying to make it that we get a deeper, richer amount of information than just a laundry list or a long list of wants. It's optimized for a mobile device, you know, potential to reach exponentially more residents. I think we're finding that not just in this project, but in all of our projects, that people really do embrace it and a direct connect with the outreach. This is an image of the virtual room. If you haven't been there yet, you know, the intent is that you can go in here, you can move around the room, you can feel immersed within the place, this community center, even though you're not physically there. The feeling as though you're in the park, you're in the community center, just as though you would have gone there on Thursday evening at 6:30 and walked in. And you can learn everything about the project and the portal that you can provide your feedback. So I encourage you, if you know of others, please ask them to join. Again, the more, the better. There's also a statistically valid survey that's out in the community right now, and it is random stratified. By that we mean every single household across the city has an equal chance that they may receive one. If you receive one, we really encourage you, please fill it out and submit it. It says 20 minutes. I take you 25 minutes, a little longer, but it is an important part of what we rely on to get a good cross section of people's needs, wants, and priorities. The other important thing is we recognize that Tampa is not just one place, that, like many great cities, Tampa is different from north to south to east to west. So the survey is broken up to be statistically valid not only in this area where we are now tonight in 7B, but also statistically valid in 4B down in the more southern part of the city. We will certainly amalgamate these results into each of the geographic council districts and be able to report all the information as the city as a whole. But if we need to drill down to the differences, between different areas of the city, we'll know, and we expect that it might be different. The answers to what's best for parks and recreation might be different in different places. So again, it's both recreation and lifestyle based. It addresses both importance and unmet need. And we do have the capacity to benchmark it against national results. So sometimes, information is most important if you understand that it's way different than what we get in all of the other places we work. So we do try and benchmark also. The online survey, here's just one example. Again, it's another opportunity for people. It's a little more information to put in, but all of the information will be consolidated and taken into account as we move forward. So again, if you have not yet, or if you have family members or friends that you would think have an opinion that or may wish to participate, please encourage them to be a part of it. Our process really relies on everybody's input. So that's kind of the sum of me speaking. The important part of this meeting is, of course, for me to listen, me and John to listen. So we'll, if we can here, we'll open up to any questions or comments that you may have. And please be patient. We'll take each person as you raise your hand. That's the best way. And hopefully we can address any questions or comments you may have. So John, do we have anyone brave enough to start?
So far, there are no hands up. But again, just feel free to raise your hand. We'll unmute you and you can provide your feedback. All right, we're going to go first to Ballast Point Neighborhood Association.
Hi there. I appreciate the time that you're putting into sharing this with the public. My question is, how many surveys have you received so far? And have you seen any preliminary trends?
We've received about 1,000 of the statistical surveys, and we need 1,200 to be valid across the entire city. So we don't start to analyze until we get them all. So I don't have an answer for the second part. No trends yet. Hopefully we'll get all of the surveys completed. There's another big push right now to get the last 200. That sometimes is harder than the first 200. But we're hoping to have that by August. I guess you got a half answer. Anyone else? Who's next?
No other hands up at this time. All right.
Okay,
We're gonna go to Beverly Morrow.
Beverly, can you hear us? Are you muted, Beverly?
Yes, I can hear you, but if someone may want to go ahead of me, my computer went down and I have to bring it back up again.
We can hear you right now.
Okay, I'm trying to get the computer back up, and then I'll be ready. But if someone needs to go ahead of me, that certainly would be great to let them do
Okay.
that.
Do we have another hand up, Drew?
Yep, we'll go to Cynthia.
Hello, Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia Fleming, Tangus Sargass Memorial Pool Committee. Can you hear me okay?
Little broken up.
Okay, how about now?
That's better.
Okay, thank you. So I have two questions. We would like to help you all and help promote getting responses back to you for the survey. But I noticed that the input survey that's actually on the virtual meeting portal, that kind of looks like a survey as well. And that particular input device seems to offer more opportunities for write-in comments. So do you have a preference as to which one we help promote? Would you rather have us push the survey document?
Well, both are great, but the survey, the statistical survey that'll arrive via mail, all of that, is only to select households. It's actually very random. We pay for random addresses to make sure it's random. So I can't just choose to send you one. So otherwise it negates its being statistically valid. The
Okay,
online survey is effectively the same questions, but it's open to anyone's input.
Okay, so if I understand it, there's the input form that you can fill in the virtual meeting portal. There's the online survey that's also online, and then there's a hard copy statistical survey that's going to be mailed, correct?
Yeah, and it has been mailed. It's out to households right now. You know, to get 1,200 responses, it can sometimes take thousands of mail outs because some people just throw them away. But we're working through it. We're getting good responses. It's actually quicker than we've had before, so that proves people care. But it is, by its nature, the intent is that it's completely random. I sometimes compare it to, the cup of water I take from the pool has to be representative of the pool.
Right.
So only by being random is it representative.
Understood. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. The other question I have has to do with the $100,000 that was budgeted for this planning effort for the pool study. Could you possibly give us any updates regarding the pool study effort?
Well, I can, but again, we're a little premature on recommendations. We heard Tuesday night, we heard last week. We're in the listening mode of hearing what people's feelings are about that. We've looked at it from an empirical standpoint. That was included within this work, and there was, originally it was to go out and analyze the two pools that, they're of course gone now, but
right.
Proper location and whether it's the best place or what needs to be done, we are prepared to do that. We have a specialist in pools on our team to address that. But we're hearing from people their feelings about the two locations, Lopez and Goff.
Oh, okay. So you're still dependent on community input, even though those pools have already been demolished. It doesn't sound like the pool study has quite started because you're dependent on community input for both the Goss pool and the Baldemaro Lopez pool. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, I mean, everything we're trying to do here, we like it to be driven by you, right?
Okay.
But
Thank you very
we're,
much.
we're hearing things.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, next we're going to Laura.
Laura?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, first I have a question. Do you only want participation regarding the process, or is this also a proper forum for just like my own perceptions of needs and priorities? Or do you prefer me to do that through the survey?
No, I encourage you to do both. I mean, we are
Okay.
here to hear you tonight.
Okay,
And
perfect.
if you want, do it both.
So then just like a couple of things. One is if you could just like share with us how you're going to share the results of the surveys once they are ready and done and analyzed and all that. That's the first one. And regarding my own perceptions of needs and priorities, I just listened to what you were talking about, and I have to say that I have no idea what it is, but one was pools. Like for living in Florida, it's really difficult to access pools. We live very close to one actually, but it's usually used by a bunch of groups, so it's not available for our use as neighbors. So it's difficult. And so that was one, but I may need to inform myself better about that. The second thing that I have noticed, and I don't know if this is just like a matter of the parks or it's more something related to what you mentioned earlier, that there's like a lot of things happening, but I've noticed that sometimes we struggle with getting to the parks. Like it would be great to have better like trail access to the parks from places that are not necessarily like sometimes we want to like bike in some of the parks that have really good trails, but getting there with a bicycle requires a whole enterprise and logistics that sometimes just like kills the purpose, so we don't use them. So being able to access them, for example, with a bicycle for biking is something that I would love. Like we were trying to find like roads, like through trails that are available, but there's a lot of trails that kind of are most of the way, and then you have to get into a really busy street. So like, okay, not doing that with my kid. So that was the second one.
Well, let me start with that one, and then we'll get to your pools comment. But actually, as a part of our research in the beginning, we do an analysis of walk sheds and bike sheds. It's our belief, this is an e-com thing. I will say this is something I was personally involved in initially, of including access as a level of service on how to evaluate parks. We firmly believe that, access to the parks is as important as the parks themselves. Often that is, and I will say it's in Florida, it's even worse because of some of the original platting and layouts of the cities that we did in Florida at their time of development, where it's lots of cul-de-sac streets and not really a connected grid. But that comment is really important. We also need to try and look at, and this is work that we've done multiple different cities in Florida, that how can we improve the connectivity from neighbors to the parks? And that sometimes can be difficult, as you said, if it means taking a small child on an arterial road, which in Florida sometimes can be really amazingly large, it's not effective. People aren't going to use it. So we've developed methodologies that actually look and close off, create what we call barriers to access, and try and account for that in the consideration of where new parks and services, but also where maybe street improvements may be needed. So that is an important consideration in our work. Back to the pools, I think if your question is a statement that the pool should be open to free swim more frequently, that's what I'm hearing in the question. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if the pool near you is fully programmed except for 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, it's not really effectively serving the neighborhood, right? So I don't know. I do know the Parks Department tries very diligently to make sure the pools are used, comprehensively, and everybody gets an opportunity to use them. And it's a balance between the organized and their programs, which are, learn to swim and exercise. So it depends somewhat, and sometimes in the aquatics world, it's about being able to do both at the same time. So am I hearing your comment correctly?
But yes, that's exactly what I meant.
And to answer your first question about the results of the survey, once we've compiled everything in a couple months, we'll be posting drafts of our findings back on our virtual platform. So the results will be able to be viewed online. Okay. Next, we have Jamie.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie, and I'm here with my daughter, Ella, and we are here in Seminole Heights. I am a member of the Old Seminole Heights Neighborhood Association and also the chair of the Friends of Henry and Ola Park. Over the last couple of years, we've been heavily involved in promoting the embetterment of the Henry and Ola Park. In the surrounding area, we have 15 parks. Henry and Ola is one of the largest. However, we have one of the smallest unsafe community centers, it's a portable trailer. It's not really a community center. We used to have a community center in Seminole Heights. It was the Wayne C. Pappy Center that now is served for gymnastics and dance. And then also, the biggest Goss Pool. So we've lost over the years a lot in Seminole Heights. And to us, the most important thing is that community center. As Seminole Heights grows, as it expands, more children, more families are moving into the neighborhood. And it's clear that we need a legitimate community center, and a 700 square foot portable trailer does not serve that need. In the fall of 2019, our group conducted a survey. We did about 3,000 surveys in total. We received about 375 responses. Some of those surveys were paper surveys. Some of those surveys were constant contact via online. So we had about a 10% response rate, which we believe is to be pretty good. We asked some very important questions about how far people live from the park. About 77% of those people lived within 1 mile of our park. And also out of those responses, about 60% of those people found that some sort of recreation center was needed in our neighborhood. To follow with that, back in July of 2020, we provided the City of Tampa with those results, with those actual paper surveys and our actual data from Constant Contact. I'm no data analyst, but the data was sent over. We sent over the raw data. The last we heard back was from July 22nd, ironically, 2020, one day. So we haven't heard any response back from that. So we hope that you guys did receive it and that you are reviewing it. Let me see. I think for us, that covers what I would like to say, the importance of the community center. I can't say enough. It serves our after-school children, and for us, importantly, it serves our summer camps. My daughter has attended Henry and Ola Park Summer Camp 2 years in a row, and then obviously last year, due to COVID, it was shut down. But those 2 years, I mean, they were very hot. When it rained, you had 40, 60 kids piled into a 700 square foot portable, very hot. Probably not the best of sanitary places for these kids to be hanging out either. Fortunately, the year before this year, she was able to go over to Loretta Ingram. And as you can imagine, she doesn't really want to go back to Henry and Ola. I mean, she went to a center where they have game rooms, they have a pool, they have activities outside, they do field trips. And then this year she's at another community center where they at least have air conditioning. Henry and Ola doesn't have any of those things. I do want to thank the city. They have done a lot to improve some of the amenities. We did get our bathrooms updated, which were in such poor shape. I mean, it was embarrassing for our community. I mean, we did just unbelievable. So those have been updated and they're beautiful, you know. That was a big complaint. But what we really do need is at least a 3,000 square foot community center to replace the community center that was taken from us, and to give our kids a safe place to be during the summers, after school, and all of the others in the community too. Our seniors, you know, a place to play bingo if they want to. I could go on and on about all the things that done at a community center, but Seminole Heights definitely needs one. So I hope you will consider that in part of your master plan. And then I have my daughter here, and I think that she might want to say something to you guys today. Ella?
Please do. Hello.
Say hello.
Hello. I think this place would be way safer if there was more space because, I mean, just think about like COVID, the flu, many other deadly things out there that kids could catch there because that place is so old and I'm sure filled with germs. And I think it's time to upgrade because it's very small. There's been many people just shoved in one room and it's not enough. People need more to stay safe, healthy, and happy. I'm pretty sure that half of Seminole Heights doesn't want their kids going to Henry Ola during the summer or after school because they believe that there's not much space and it's not safe. So I think that should be upgraded to a safer place. And I'm pretty sure that there would be more people sending their kids there and more kids happy to go there if it changed and became a better place.
Okay, appreciate your input. Trying to just delve a little deeper here. You mentioned that you went to a different community center. Which community center was that?
I have to say the best one would be Loretta Ingram because the place, it's really nice. The coaches there are very nice, just like at all of them. The place, I can tell that people puts their best effort to keep it nice and taken care of for everyone that goes there. And I'm pretty sure it's like a really good place.
Okay, well, and what I'm getting at is you'd mentioned 3,000 square feet. You know, we deal with a whole range of different, what is conceived of as a community center. Is that 3,000 square foot based on some place or some knowledge of what needs to go into the building?
What we did, and I guess the reason we say 3,000 is because we were trying to utilize, we did an overlay of the park, and you know, we had trying to utilize the footprint that's already there between where the current building portable sits versus where the bathrooms are versus the pavilion. And then there's like a little bit of green space there. So we were really trying to be, I guess, a little bit reserved in order to appease others and keeping the green space that exists there. So I guess I mean, I don't know anything about building a community center, but I guess we just figured, considering the space that's there, that was, a reasonable size.
Okay, so you kind
Loretta
of work,
Loretta Ingram is really, really big. And I know like Cape Jackson is really big. So I don't know how or what determines the utilization and how big the space should be. But I mean, I'm saying, I guess a minimum of 3,000 square feet is what I would think. But I'm not the expert on that. So I'm just guessing.
you kind of work backwards from the space that was available.
Right, exactly.
Okay. I wondered where the 3,000 came from.
Yeah, that was just sort of you've got a set of basketball courts, you've got a parking lot. And actually, if you were to, I guess, kind of bring in there's a million ways you can cut and dice and figure it out. But I think the most important part that we found from our surveys and the written comments, which was also sent over to you guys, is that people surrounding the park specifically were really concerned about that green space. And we wanted to make sure that in our ask, we were helping everyone to understand that we just want a permanent structure that will support the local community. We're not trying to concrete over the park and take away the green space or take away the soccer field. So the idea was to, keep it within that space that's already, the footprint that's already there, really.
Okay, and I can appreciate that. You don't want to put something in that takes something away.
Correct.
And I'm reading also that you are hearing also that you assumed single story.
I did assume single story.
Okay. So we can certainly look at it. We deal with a whole range of them. I think right now we have 16 community centers being designed and developed within our group across the state. So sometimes, and they range 40,000 to 120,000 or 5,000 or 3,000. Some are small, some are big. It really depends on, we go from the program of what kinds of things are you trying to do there, and that defines how big it is. But you kind of work backwards from the space that's available to not take away other features of the park.
Right.
Okay. I understand.
Okay. Well, and thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing. We really appreciate it. I think I've covered everything unless you guys have more questions.
No.
I think we're good. Thank you both.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now we're going to go back to Beverly.
Are you with us now, Beverly?
Yes, I am, and thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Beverly Mora, and I co-chair the Angus Argos Memorial Pool Committee. We have members of the committee and supporters within every Greater Seminole Heights neighborhood. Our committee was organized in 2016 when neighbors wanted to know why our community pool in Seminole Heights was still closed since 2009. When we inquired, the city said it was due to underutilization, not being ADA compliant, and cost to repair. Well, we all recognize that a lot has changed since 2009, as local demographics will support. We have people moving in, homes being built. Many young first-time homebuyers live here and in the surrounding communities, raising their families. The pool, located at 4601 North Central Avenue, it is within walking distance of 2 public schools and the Seminole Heights Library. Those two schools are Memorial Middle School and Hillsborough High School. In past years, both of these schools could utilize the pool. Hillsborough High School's swim and dive teams practiced here, and they hosted swim meets. Physical education classes offered swimming classes. I met with the former principal of Hillsborough High School, Gary Brady, in 2016, and he gave the committee this letter of support. Give me one moment, and I would like to read that to you. Again, this was a letter of support from Principal Gary Brady in 2016. I am writing this letter on behalf of Hillsborough High School in support of the reconstruction of the Angus Goss Pool on Central Avenue in Seminole Heights. As the principal of Hillsborough High School, I am always in favor of projects that could potentially benefit our students. This pool would provide our students with a healthy and constructive outlet that would allow them to stay physically fit and also learn a lifelong sport that could provide endless benefits. In addition, the pool, if the diving pit is included, would also make a wonderful location to house our swimming and diving teams. It would allow for our students to attend practice and meets at a location that is close to school, and it would not require them to drive their own cars and extended distance to participate. I am aware that there are many considerations from financial to logistical and beyond when considering a project of this magnitude. However, if we were able to move forward with this endeavor, it would have a huge positive impact on Hillsborough High School, our students, and the surrounding area of Seminole Heights. Thank you for your consideration, and please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns. Sincerely, Gary Brady, Principal, Hillsborough High School. Yeah. And we were, very encouraged to receive that. That was in 2016. And please note that the swim and dive teams currently have to carpool to a remote pool, Copeland Pool. Principal Brady said that he could double his swim and dive teams if they just had access to the Angus R. Goss Memorial Pool. An additional benefit to Hillsborough High School is that juniors and seniors could fulfill their required volunteer hours for graduation. Of course, this would be mutually beneficial to students and to the pool. In past years, the pool has been a part of after-school programs like Stay and Play. It's also provided much needed and popular summer vacation programs, of course, including, the swimming lessons. Seminole Heights has the largest geographic footprint of any neighborhood within the city, yet we have no community pool. There are many apartments and condominiums being built within Greater Seminole Heights, and more are in progress. These residential developments are not building pools for their residents. And just yesterday, Fox 13 News reported that child drownings in Florida will probably reach a 10-year high by the end of this year. It is the #1 risk factor for children in Florida. There have been 63 deaths to date. The 2020 total was 69 drowning deaths. And just within the last 13 days in Tampa Bay, the Department of Children and Families reported that 5 children under 7 have died of drowning. Rebuilding our community pool could help to reduce this frightening number. In our future, our committee really looks forward to changing our name and the name of our Facebook page. What do we want it to be known as? We want to be known as the Friends of the Angus R. Goss Memorial Pool. Please help us to make this a reality. And I thank you.
Well, we certainly hear and appreciate your input. We're coming in now looking at alternatives or, potential solutions for the pool. But we are certainly hearing people's passion about, both the name, the honor to the veteran and hero,
Yes,
but also to the location.
yes, it is a very walkable pool for this community and other surrounding communities, walkable, bikeable. And I'm certain that it was put in that location for that very reason. And of course, having the two schools within walking distance, and even the public library.
Mhm. We hear you.
Well, we appreciate that. And we hope to have some very good news about our community pool in the near future.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next we're going to go to Joshua Raymond.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to support several of the comments that have been made and just add one additional topic of concern. I've lived in Seminole Heights since 2011. I have two children who are 8 years old and 14 years old. And we use recreational facilities in the city a lot. First, I would appreciate, I've been waiting for 10 years for the Angus Goss pool to be reopened since we have no pool in Seminole Heights. It gets quite crowded at Sulphur Springs and other pools around because they draw from a very large group of people around the city. The pool hours are very inconvenient for families. And it's very difficult, especially during thunderstorm season in July, August, September, to be able to use the pool with the family because first, it's extremely uncomfortable in the afternoon when it's available. In the mornings, it's usually not available unless you are either doing adult lap swim or a class. So we find ourselves having to try to go at the time that we get thunderstorms pretty much every day. And so we find it very difficult to use the pool very often. Also, you often have limited hours on weekends when families are actually free to go to the pool. This is particularly nice when we have yet another year in which there's red tide and going to the beach isn't much of an option. We've had that for several years while I've been in Tampa. So I'd very much appreciate if free swim hours were included in the morning, especially in the summer at the pools. Okay, secondly, I wanted to support the woman's comment about extending the trails and the access to parks via safe cycling and running trails. Also with regard to being able to travel around the city. I run to and from USF where I work, and it's extremely dangerous. The cars and the trucks are the major danger. It's very difficult to avoid getting hit on these runs. And then, of course, there are a lot of people with loose dogs, and there have been many times I've been attacked by pit bulls on my runs. So it would be nice if there were dedicated trails connecting, say, downtown to parts of the city and on up to USF. And I know that many of our students would use them, maybe not for running all the way, but for cycling at least. And then thirdly, I wanted to suggest that the soccer leagues be advertised and open to people outside of the rec centers, because people who have aftercare are then the participants in the soccer league, which is only in the spring. And it would be nice if they expanded to also have soccer leagues in the fall. And I would suggest too, given my experience with my daughter, that a girls soccer league might really bring out a lot more girls to the league because playing with boys maybe might be a little rough for them sometimes. Um, and so I think that would encourage more participation in a sport that's really good for general health in an age in which childhood obesity is very high. I think the Parks Commissioner even mentioned a track program and that would be outstanding. But I just wanted to mention also that it's very unaffordable to do the higher soccer leagues that are essentially required to play soccer in college. And in fact, even in the high school level, the local public high schools are destroyed, generally speaking, in soccer. It's almost unsafe. They get injured constantly playing against suburban kids who have been in these travel soccer leagues that cost about $1,000 to $2,000 plus travel, so that families spend about $8,000 to $10,000 a year or more on the soccer leagues. If there were a public option that had higher level soccer that could have high competition in this area, because it's such an athletic mecca, that would be very helpful to a lot of families to be able to afford that kind of thing. And then finally, I just wanted to support those who've been talking about the need for a facility, a better facility at Olo Park. 2 years ago, my son got impetigo from a couple weeks at that facility in the summer camp before we headed to California to visit my family. And it was essentially because the facility is so small, so many kids are crowded together, especially with all the thunderstorms that keep them inside in the heat in the summer. And I think that those kids really deserve a better facility, a larger facility, and one that doesn't have to destroy the aesthetic, beautiful aesthetic of Olo Park.
Okay, that's a pretty good list. Certainly, I think every one of those points is well taken. In support of many others, I've heard the same about the soccer. I had daughters that participated in soccer too, but I think we can make good note of every one of those items and keep that for our consideration as we go forward. So appreciate your specificness. That's helpful.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, we're going to go to Mark and Catherine.
Hello, good evening. Joseph, prior to the start of you starting the virtual meeting today, we were able to put questions in the prompt there. Are you able to see those?
Yes, we are. You mean the prompt on the website?
Yes.
Right.
So just prior to the meeting. So, and part of the reason I'm asking is, and I apologize to the participants here, I'm calling from the Channel District area, and I know you've had your meeting there. This doesn't include it. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that meeting. Would you like me to voice my comments here, or would you rather keep it right to this group?
No, we're happy to hear your comments here.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll try and be as brief as possible. The Channel District, as you're probably aware, has grown very rapidly. There was an agreement, it's my understanding, because I attend several of the CAC meetings, between the Park District and the area to allocate certain amount of green space as part of the population growth in the community. And it's my understanding at the current time, we're running it at about 10% of what it should be going forward. The concern lies with that as the area continues to fill in with more and more high rises and other building going on, that the space is going to be consumed and they're not going to be able to fulfill the Parks and Rec to the amount that's available. Also, as it's being approached right now, they're looking more at doing like a building plot of land and putting in dog park and or a playground. And obviously in our interpretation, that is not a green space park or a large green space park to accommodate the needs. I can go elaborate more, but the city does own property in the area that is large space basically off of Channel Side in York, that could be converted into a large green space park. And that would be our suggestion from the groups that I represent to consider that. But I guess the key of it is we'd like to have accountability there, that the commitment that was supposed to take place of giving us, based on population, a certain amount of park space, that continues to grow. Because obviously at 10% of where it should be right now is not fulfilling that promise. And that's it.
Okay, well, we've heard that almost same script from others. I believe it was the CRA master plan that identified that space. It's something we've noted and we'll have to look into, but we understand your desire, and if there's a commitment there, that should be honored.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Chrissy Taylor.
Hello. Oh, hello.
Hi there.
Hey there, Mr. Crumpton. Hi there, Mr. Webb. How are you?
Good. How are you this evening?
Excellent. Again, I want to thank you for hosting. Long time no talk. Now you heard from me the other day. I just wanted to kind of rehash something with that 100,000. Kind of give you a brief history of what we were told. When we've been working, like I said, on this pool for quite some time. And so when the ball started to roll, and I'm just trying to give you the clip notes. Basically, Paul Dial, as well as the city of Tampa, basically confirmed to us that 100,000 would be directly dedicated to the Baldomero Lopez pool, as well as the Angus R. Goss pool for a study. So my concern is, we have this in emails. My concern is that it's not going to be upheld somehow, or it's going to be misdirected. And I just wanted to know, is that something that's going to be partake upon with the city, or is that going to be divvied to you to decide? Because we were told that in the city budget, we were going to get $100,000 for these studies for the pool. Then they decide to uptake on a master plan and bring an outside consultant in. And it kind of sounded like with the conversations that you were just having with Miss Cynthia, that now that money's not going to be dedicated as it was intended for. And I understand that things are different, things change, but it's very hard to kind of hear that, perhaps, and from our perspective, because we had it in writing. Hey, don't worry, we're good. And this is before you guys ever stepped on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is that going to be upheld, or are we looking at now that money being redirected because now you guys have come in as consultants, and now they're like, oh, sorry, we hired consultants. They're going to do what they want to do with that allocated money. We tried. Well, this is what we're doing now. And I'm just letting you know the history of it, because it literally was told not only to our face, but in an email. And so, that, and it's not just Angus Argos. I'm dedicated to getting that Baldomero Lopez pool open too. That guy dropped his body on a bomb. He's got the Medal of Honor. These are two historic pools named after World War II war heroes, and somehow and they serve the community. And I want to tackle one more thing. We're talking about the ability, what I keep hearing is that the ability to access these recreation at, facilities easily, simply, and safely. And I have to say, I know for a fact that that's what Angus Argos does. It has done it. It has done it in the past for 50 years. I'm not too familiar with the Baldomero Lopez, but when we're talking about reducing cars on the road, allowing people to access our recreational facilities with our children they could take their bike or however it may be, that pool for us, of course, I'm dedicated to it, serves that need. And it does allow people to access it without the use of a car. But again, I just want to circle back to what I originally talked about. And I do want, is there any way you can, I know it's hard to put you in a position to say right now, but it is a little concerning for me, if you can understand. I know that maybe you were told one thing and then what was told to us. and, you know, obviously you're just here, but as a consultant coming in. But before you guys ever stepped foot, took a contract from the city, they had allocated 100,000 in that budget for independent studies to come look at the Baldomero Lopez and the Angus Argos.
Right, and let's address that one. That is specific and discrete within our work. We are supposed to be looking at pools, those two specifically. And
Okay.
I do know the whole history. Part of the work was to do an assessment of their existing physical structure. We
Yeah.
know that's gone, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, the determination of, you know, and pools are expensive, so maybe it's, you know, the city's desire to make sure they're doing the right thing, which
Right.
I can credit them with, but, you know, every question of, is this the right place? If we were to rebuild, what would it be? You know, the pools, aquatics as a whole is much different than when I was a child.
Yeah.
You know, post World War II, everything that got built was a Olympic size depth swimming pool to build the next Olympians, the next strong soldiers. You know, there was a mindset.
Right.
Today, there's a way different approach to doing aquatics, and it's way more comprehensive in that it's not just about strong young men, it's about older people learn to swim. You know, some places the number one priority for their aquatics is learn to swim, for the very reason people have said. It's outrageous in Florida when, you know, there are places in different parts of the state where 50% of the kids can't swim.
Yeah.
And we wonder why we have these high drowning fatalities.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that hard to figure out. So it's not only to validate that the locations, but also what would be the new configuration. You know, I'm somewhat going off script here, but, you know, I'm hearing that, well, we can't use the pool because there's people doing lap swim. The new designs have that you can partition, that you can still have recreational swim while a certain number of lanes are still dedicated for lap swim, right?
Right.
They're way more flexible than the big box I learned to swim in.
Yeah.
So it is, we have a specific sub-consultant. They're national, they do work internationally, that we work with as a firm all the time, that is dedicated to that. Part
Excellent.
of the effort up front here is to hear everyone. I did not know that I would get such clear statements about those two specific. I've heard no one say that there is a better place. So we're marching in measured steps, but the money hasn't disappeared or been reallocated.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that was it. And again, I do appreciate you guys taking the time and doing the outreach. So it's useful, and hopefully it does benefit, you know, us, the community. So,
Yeah, we hope so too.
well, thank you.
Anyone else? Any more hands up, John?
Currently don't have any hands raised.
Okay, I see our participants are going down a little bit. Anyone else wishing to share their ideas tonight? We have a few more minutes. Okay, I'm not hearing any, but what we encourage, certainly, you know, this is one part of our process. We will keep information updated on the website. I encourage you as we move forward to, you know, keep up with what's happening as we move forward in the visioning and implementation parts. You know, it won't be as focused on input, but at least you can see, you know, the results of what we're hearing across the city. You'll see where those ideas and how they're taken to move forward. But please keep track of the process. The website is the place to go. And we encourage everyone to, continue to be involved. This kind of participation is critical to our process. So having no other comments here, we thank you very much for your time this evening.
No, we do have a hand up right now. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Jamie, you can go ahead.
Yes, sorry for the delay. Did you guys, I guess, as far as the Henrietta Park surveys are concerned, how do you guys need that information? Is it something that you will utilize? And if so, how do I get that to you? I mean, like I said, we have the raw data, so obviously you don't need to go on my attempt at statistics and data analytics. I mean, again,
Yeah, if you've provided it to the city, I'm sure we can get it. I'll be honest that you went and asked people, what was the question that you asked?
Oh, we asked multiple questions. I actually have the survey up here. We directly asked about a 3,000 foot, 3 to 5,000 square foot community center. We asked about recreation rooms, fitness centers, teen lounge. We asked about transportation.
If I may, the point being, I would say yes to that too. But are we certain that everybody in the community, that is their top priority?
Well, we did a range of answer 1 to 5, 1 being most important, 5 being least important. So we have that ranking. We asked people how close they lived to the park. It was 1 to 1 mile, 1 to 2 miles, 2 to 3, more than 3. Most of our, like I said, 77% of our responses were less than a mile. We asked about a pool. We actually took the pool data and removed it from our analysis and actually handed it off to the Goss Pool folks for them to use in their initiative. We asked about tennis courts, pavilions.
I think that's all good, and we certainly will review the information. We have to go through a process in of which that would be part of. Sometimes surveys that are, what would I say, not randomly collected, you don't know what people might have said. I have to rely on things I can definitively prove. It's good information. We'll certainly consider it. I would imagine most people that filled out that survey were probably positive to it. Whereas perhaps those that were indifferent or weren't positive, maybe didn't. But this
Well,
is
we
what
did have some pushback, and we held several community meetings, open forum meetings, and we did have some folks attend. That's how, kind of how we picked up on the feedback of not making the community center too large, which was obviously never our intention in the first place, but just to get a safe, stable, permanent structure for our kids. But I totally understand that, the way that you guys collect data is, more professional, more reliable than myself and our group passing out hand surveys. And I mean, these were passed out, they were mailed. So, I mean, we did our best, but I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Very much appreciated, but the day is going to come when I have to stand in front of elected officials and convince them that they have to spend the money.
Right.
And people's, again, I don't want to negate the survey. It's still important information, but if forced to choose between, and I respect the position of your current council members and the mayor, it's competing interests. It's you know, it's not just parks, it's water and sewer, it's police, it's this, you know, they are
Absolutely.
playing the hard job of having to decide how to allocate scarce resources. That's difficult, but that your information can be added to that. But what I really want to be able to show is, you know, 87% of people living in that area. And we do ask questions in the survey about willingness to pay. You know, everything, I do think we're trying to build the case. So please, we'll make sure that we have the information. I think you've been on a couple of our calls. Our representatives have been on several. So I want to have the information. I'm pretty sure the city has it. We've talked about it. So that's good, but then we still have to go through this process so that we have our terra firma of where we can respond to questions.
Understood. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the work you guys are doing.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Again, with that, I'll assume that's it. Again, if you see on the screen, www.yourtampaparksplan.com. Please keep up with things as we continue to move forward. And again, thank you for your time this evening. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.